it's March 15th, 2024. After another poor showing on the Super Tuesday primary election, Nikki Haley ended her bid for the Republican presidential nomination. I'm Esmeralda Padilla Gould, and welcome to this week's edition of The Pulse.
And I'm Sarah Obal. Welcome to The Pulse.
Nikki Haley, former governor of South Carolina and former ambassador to the United Nations during Trump's administration, presidential battle is over. But her supporters still do not quit. According to an article from NBC News, Nikki Haley dropped out from the presidential election without endorsing the presumptive Republican nominee, Donald Trump. Still, it's Joe Biden and Donald Trump's rematch as Nikki Haley exits. So Nikki Haley's campaign is over, but the struggle to win over her supporters has just begun. As for Nikki Haley, it is now up for Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond who did not support him. In her speech in South Carolina, Nikki Haley reached out with an olive branch for so many in the Republican Party who have supported her in the primary season. She congratulated other nominees and she wished them all well, especially who would be the next American president. She emphasized during her speech that America is too precious to let their differences divide them. She has always been a GOP supporter and always supported Republican nominees. But in this presidential race, it seems she would not endorse Republican Donald Trump. She even raises up a quote from Margaret Thatcher's speech, "Never just follow the crowd, always make up your own mind." Really powerful words from her. It is like a message to Donald Trump to do what is beneficial to his cause and not let people turn away. The best is to bring people with your advocacy, not to be against it. She ended her campaign speech with the same words she began with, from the book of Joshua. "I direct them to all Americans, but especially to so many women and girls out there who put their faith in our campaign. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for God will be with you wherever you go." Then she said goodbye with a grateful heart and thanks to all Americans. After a ferocious Super Tuesday, whereby she only won in Vermont and District of Columbia, while in South Carolina, Nikki Haley decided to bow down to her presidential race, leaving it all to Joe Biden and Donald Trump. For all her intentions, Haley suddenly called it quits in the presidential elections. Nikki Haley was beaten up on Super Tuesday as Trump wrote on his Truth social platform that much of her money came from the radical left Democrats, as did many of her voters. According to polls, are almost 50. Later, Trump suddenly invited all Haley supporters to join him in his presidential campaign, tagging it as the greatest movement in the history of the nation. Meanwhile, Biden also invited all Nikki Haley supporters in his presidential bid, and they are much more welcome to join him as he praised Haley's for having the courage to run against her GOP mate, Donald Trump, and for speaking about the truth about Trump and expressing hope that the two can find common ground in a variety of key issues. Nikki Haley in exit polls got most of the college-graduated women Republicans and younger women, according to multiple media outlets.
Here are the main takeaways for Super Tuesday. As they say, it was a big night for Biden and Donald Trump. According to multiple media outlets, Biden and Trump move into place for the general election this November 2024. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump remain on track to face again in the general election in November. Biden continued to outperform marginal opposition for the Democratic nomination, while last week's uncommitted protest vote in Michigan was a headache for Biden. On the Democratic side, President Joe Biden has journeyed past his challengers, including Representative Dean Phillips, who withdrew from the race, and self-help guru Marianne Williamson, who suspended her campaign and then suddenly returned. On the third-party side, as what they term it for those not affiliated with either Republicans and Democratic parties, they still have 3 presidential nominees. First is activist Robert F. Kennedy Jr., son of Robert F. Kennedy and nephew of President John F. Kennedy, who is an environmental lawyer and author. Kennedy is a vocal anti-vaccine activist and leads the Children's Health Defense, a nonprofit group that has been suspended from Facebook and Instagram after spreading COVID misinformation. Second is historian, professor, and political activist Cornel West, running as independent. He initially announced his candidacy in June 2023 as a member of the People's Party, but decided to run for the Green Party nomination 9 days later. Third Third in the list is Jill Stein, physician and environmental activist who is running as a candidate in the Green Party. But the Super Tuesday voting also has offered the first clues about down-ballot races that will help determine control of state houses and Congress this November. Biden faces fewer speed bumps so far as from the NBC News article that this one stood out. Biden lost his first contest in 2024 with the American Samoan caucus over to a political unknown entrepreneur, Jason Palmer. This might be an unwelcoming headline so far within the next 24 hours or so. In his fourth White House campaign, Biden finally scored a victory in Iowa. He also cruised in Minnesota, where the Democrat trying the hardest to beat him, Representative Dean Phillips, holds a congressional seat. Phillips finished fourth and Michigan behind uncommitted. Biden continued to outperform marginal opposition for the Democratic nomination. It was really another night of easy wins for President Joe Biden.
Arizona U.S. Senator Kyrsten Sinema, who left the Democratic Party after she faces a strong challenger for her re-election, has announced that she will retire after the end of her term. Sinema, who is joined by Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, has become the two headaches for the Democrats who had control of the Senate since 2021, but had killed so many bills that were important for the Democrats and good for the country. After a few years of frustration, Senator Sinema finally faced a challenge from Congressman Ruben Gallego, a fellow Democrat who is running for the U.S. Senate to challenge her. With her announced departure at the end of her term, Ruben Gallego will now be the presumed nominee for the Democratic candidate for the Senate seat of Kyrsten Sinema, and will face Kari Lake, the Republican who was defeated for governor in the 2022 election, but until now had not conceded her defeat. Kari Lake is an election denier. Senator Sinema has been falling behind in fundraising for their candidacy behind Ruben Gallego. Congressman Ruben Gallego is backed by Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Senatorial Committee. Many political analysts see that the fundraising level of Sinema shows there is no pathway for Sinema's re-election, that her campaign will not financially survive a grueling contest with Representative Ruben Gallego. Let's take a commercial break. Please stick around. We'll be right back.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Enjoy FilAmTV Network on KGNG 26.8 Las Vegas and www.filamtv.us. Search for and download FilAmTV Network in Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Download the WCE TV app from smartphones and search for FilAmTV.
Welcome back to The Pulse. Should democracy in Africa be US-made? Few peoples in the world have been more committed to gaining democracy than the Sudanese. Despite their unwavering commitment to democracy, Sudan has yet to achieve stable democratic governance, owing a large part to external pressure. According to a report from Al Jazeera, in the most recent historic incident of revolutionary upheaval, which disposed President Omar al-Bashir in 2019, the political transition failed to keep the country on a democratic course. As a result, a deadly conflict broke out between two generals, causing havoc and destruction. The Sudanese people's main goal right now is survival, but after the battle is finished, talks about the country's governance and political destiny will resume. And there must be a clear picture of what that will look like. A democratic change is important to resolving Sudan's numerous difficulties, but it must be tailored to the demands of the Sudanese people rather than shaped by outside powers. The United States in particular, which has attempted to influence the post-Bashir transition, not only has a lengthy track record of failure in democracy promotion in Sudan and its neighbors, but is also failing domestically. For decades, the United States has promoted its idea of democracy throughout the global South, including in Sudan. American diplomats, think tanks, and non-governmental organizations have all sought to pressure foreign governments to organize elections, protect free expression, and respect human rights. Those efforts have mainly failed to yield tangible benefits for two reasons. The restricted US and Western democratic models have a poor track record in Sudan. Every time it has been used during a period of political openness following the overthrow of a military administration, it has failed to solve Sudan's complex challenges and has been promptly replaced. As Sudan's second civil war comes to an end in the 2000s, the United States has increased its efforts to promote democracy there. The regional peace process, mainly pushed by the United States, resulted in the 2005 Comprehensive Peace Agreement between al-Bashir's government and the rebel Sudan People's Liberation Movement. The two parties were urged to agree to a democratic change in a united Sudan or in the emergent components of Southern Sudanese vote to secede in a referendum. Despite the considerable political capital that the United States invested in this initiative, the peace agreement and procedure only served to strengthen al-Bashir's government. It is crucial that people not only discuss how to remove the generals and halt the war, but also contemplate what type of democratic course they want in their country to take that is not influenced by US influences.
The tension between the Philippines and China has escalated again last week. The Philippine Coast Guard cutter that was guarding the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines in the West Philippine Sea was intentionally rammed by the Chinese Coast Guard vessel. The Philippine Coast Guard vessel is also looking after the resupply boats of the Philippines that supplies the BRP Sierra Madre grounded ship in the Ayungin Shoal that is home to Philippine Marines contingent. The damage in both the Philippine Coast Guard and Chinese Coast Guard vessels were averted by alert Philippine Coast Guard crew, who threw rubber tire buffers on the port bow that absorbed the impact. The incident drew multiple criticism of China's action from different countries including Australia, Germany, and the United States. President Bongbong Marcos, who learned about the recent incident while attending Asian Leaders Summit in Australia, reaffirmed that the Philippine government's commitment to protect our territory in the West Philippine Sea. The Philippine Secretary of Foreign Affairs summoned the Chinese Chief of Mission in the Philippines to express diplomatic protest of the incident.
Haiti's Prime Minister lands in Puerto Rico, official says, as gangs riot at home, according to Reuters. A plane carrying Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry arrived in Puerto Rico on Tuesday, according to the governor's spokesperson, following days of speculation about his whereabouts, as Haiti's capital Port-au-Prince descended into chaos over the weekend. Sheila Anglero Mojica told CNN that she did not have any additional information about the situation, but that federal agents from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection are in charge, without going into detail. Since last week, Port-au-Prince has been rocked by a series of highly organized gang attacks on law enforcement and official institutions. Armed groups have burned down police stations and liberated thousands of inmates from two jails, in which one gang leader characterized as an attempt to destabilize Henry's government. The violence began when Henry was in Kenya, where he signed an agreement for a Kenyan-led deployment of 1,000 police officers to restore security in Haiti. According to Mojica, the Prime Minister's last public appearance was on Friday in Kenya, and he arrived in Puerto Rico today. The Haitian government announced a state of emergency on Sunday in response to an escalating violence in Port-au-Prince. According to the United Nations, 15,000 people have been forced to evacuate their homes in the capital, joining the over 300,000 who have already been displaced due to gang violence. According to a statement from Finance Minister Patrick Beauvert, the government claimed a deterioration of security, namely increasingly violent criminal acts perpetrated by armed gangs, including kidnappings and killings of residents, violence against women and children, and looting. Dominican Republican President Luis Abinader said Monday that a high level of security was in place along his country's border with Haiti, and that any escaped Haitian prisoner who attempted to enter the country would face a drastic response. We're going to take a commercial break. Please stay with us.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Enjoy FilAmTV Network on KGNG 26.8 Las Vegas and www.filamtv.us. Search for and download FilAmTV Network in Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Download the WCE-TV app from smartphones and search for FilAmTV.
Welcome back to The Pulse. According to a report from CNN, the Maldives has signed a military contract with China, marking a further turn away from India. The Maldives announced on Tuesday that China will supply it with military assistance, the latest indicator that the Indian Ocean Archipelago's pro-China tilt has begun since President Mohamed Muizzu was elected last year. The Maldivian Defense Ministry announced on social media site X that it had signed an agreement with Beijing on Monday on China's provision of military assistance, and that the agreement would promote stronger bilateral ties. The ministry did not disclose the specifics of the assistance, but it did state that it was provided gratis or without charge. This development is in line with President Muizzu's efforts to forge closer ties with China since taking office in November. Having promised to withdraw Indian troops from Maldivian territory and reassert lost national sovereignty, the Maldives' foreign policy has significantly changed from that of Muizzu's pro-India predecessor, Ibrahim Mohamed Solih, to the current agreement with China. The little country in South Asia is well known throughout the world as a travel destination because of its turquoise lagoons and white sand beaches. However, the less than 500,000 person archipelago of about 1,200 low-lying coral islands span a large area of vital trade channels and strategically significant waterways in the Indian Ocean. Beijing is committed to working with the Maldives to build a comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership. Spokeswoman Mao Ning of the Chinese Foreign Ministry said in a statement to reporters on Tuesday, China and the Maldives' normal cooperation is not directed towards any third party and will not be interfered with by any third party, the spokesperson stated. In his February 5 presidential address, Muizzu stated that the Maldives needed to strengthen its defense forces and that they would soon be able to monitor the country's 900,000 square kilometer exclusive economic zone around the clock.
Chinese vessels broke fishing laws, according to Vanuatu police, who are supported by the U.S. Coast Guard, according to a report from Reuters. 6 Chinese fishing boats were found to be violating Vanuatu's fisheries law after being inspected by local police who were on board the first U.S. Coast Guard boat to patrol the waters of the Pacific Islands nation, Vanuatu police and officials said. The infringements, including failing to record the fish caught in logbooks, a fisheries official told Reuters, noting that it was the first time in several years police could inspect Chinese boats that fish in Vanuatu's exclusive economic zone, who then offload their catch in other countries. According to a Reuters analysis of ship registration information and corporate documents, one of the Chinese vessels that the police claimed had broken the law is controlled by the state-owned Chinese firm CNFC Overseas Fisheries, which has a joint venture with the government of Vanuatu called Sinovan. Penalty warnings will be sent to many Chinese corporations and their local agents in Vanuatu, according to Yakar Silas, Principal Monitoring, Control, and Surveillance Officer with the Fisheries Department of Vanuatu. He added that Chinese fishing fleets headquartered overseas that fish in Vanuatu waters were responsible for the majority of the breaches. The patrol gave the opportunity to inspect foreign vessels that are fishing in Vanuatu waters and are not coming into port and offloading their catch into foreign ports, for example, Fiji, he stated. They are all Chinese vessels. Requests for comments from the Chinese embassies in Vanuatu and Fiji, the locations of some of the Chinese warships, were unanswered. The U.S. Coast Guard spokesperson stated, the Vanuatu government will be the determining agency on what will happen with the violations. When the Vanuatu Marine Police inspectors boarded the fishing vessels, Bianca Simeon reported that half of them had infractions. She told Reuters they did not properly report the catch in their catch logs. She said that Vanuatu police had not patrolled its EEZ in a number of years. We are out of time for this episode. Join us again next week for another episode of The Pulse. I'm Sarah Obal. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Esmeralda Padilla Gould. Thank you, and God bless your week.
Enjoy FilAmTV Network on KGNG 26.8 Las Vegas and www.filamtv.us. Search for and download FilAmTV Network in Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Download the WCE TV app from smartphones and search for FilAmTV.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
We use headphones as a part of our everyday lives. Whether we're at work, getting exercise, meditating, in transit, studying, practicing, or relaxing.
Hi, I'm Ryan Sway, the founder of Aircom. I would like to introduce the world's first wireless airflow audio earbuds. As a festival and a concert junkie, I really enjoy the live experience of being there and feeling the music. When we started developing Airflow, our goal was to reproduce that live experience using earbuds.
The problem with traditional headphones is that the speakers are located inside of the earpiece, literally giving you centimeters before the audio hits your eardrum.
What Aircom is doing, they're the first company to actually address the fact that there needs to be a space involved associated with having the sound waves expand fully.
The difference between traditional headphones and Aircom audio is that the air tube gives you 8 times more space, allowing the sound waves to fully develop before they actually hit your eardrums. And this gives it a much more live, natural sound, just like in a recording studio.
It's real nice that someone actually addressed the physics associated with how sound comes out.
The challenge we had was to create an earbud with enough airspace for the sound to fully develop and breathe. Unfortunately, traditional earbuds are about the size of a jelly bean, and there's just not enough airspace. However, that changed when we developed Airflow Audio. Airflow uses an air tube to deliver 6 to 8 times more airspace than traditional earbuds. The end result is a true live listening experience, just like you're at a festival or a concert. We also added magnets to the back of the earpieces so you can wear it around your neck when you're not using it.
Being that the drivers are 8 inches from the earpiece, the magnets do not affect the integrity of the sound at all.
The orange line represents the frequency transmitting through the wire to the speaker, which then converts to the blue sound wave that develops more as it travels up the air tube, producing a balanced, full body and live listening experience.
Another really cool feature is that these earbuds are sweat-proof and water-resistant because they're coated with a super hydrophobic nanotechnology. So now you can be on a skateboard or riding a motorcycle and listen to music as if you were watching a live show or actually in a recording studio.
We're coming to you for help in bringing these unparalleled earbuds to market.